I'm a little bit late to the party, but I finally saw Valerian, a big, gigantic sci-fi epic that's action-packed with stellar visuals, and it's so exciting the guy I went to go see it with fell asleep. That's not good, so let's talk about it. So Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets tells the story of Valerian, a top government agent at a space station called Alpha, which is essentially the joining point of 1,000 species from 1,000 different planets, all at this one space station where they share knowledge. When a species that they thought was kind of extinct suddenly reemerge, it starts an investigation as to the destruction of their planet and why they've returned and what they want and are they actually bad guys. That's kind of the story of this movie and the general conflict and world building going on, but it's a little bit difficult to summarize, and I think that's kind of why the trailers focus so much on the action and the spectacle as opposed to the story, because it's a little bit convoluted and complex to try and summarize really quickly. To give you the short review of this movie, stunning visuals, mess of a script. There it is. With all that said, if you've seen it, go ahead and chime in the comments section while I talk about it. Give me your thoughts on it. Maybe you can kind of win me over on this one because I did not particularly enjoy this movie all that much, and I understand why my buddy was falling asleep. With all that said, let's talk about the good. Right off the bat, of course, the special effects are stunning. Apparently, in looking into some research on it, Luc Besson, the writer and the director, was a huge fan of the comics that this was based off of and didn't ever think they'd be able to pull this movie off until he saw Avatar and he went, oh, the technology's gotten to the point where you can actually pull this off. And from the opening scenes of this movie, there's like the credits kind of tell the origin of the space station. And then from there, you cut to the scene of one of these planets and you just look at it and it's Avatar gorgeous. Just stellar CGI where you're looking at it going, wow, that we can really create some cool stuff now. And then just the color palette, it's so vibrant and lively. I mean, it just feels like any frame from this movie, you could do a screen capture of it, and it's pretty well gorgeous. Almost the entire movie is like that. And then it's fast moving. It kind of, the pacing of it just goes from action scene to next beat to chase sequence to discovering a new planet that's gorgeous and some new idea that's very cool to look at. So it moves quickly from thing to thing. And the entire movie is just jam-packed with creativity and world building and different creatures and how they do different things. So there's so much imagination put into the character design, the world kind of going on all around them, the way all of this stuff fits together and works. But that's just about it on the good. Let's start talking about the bad. And wow, the script and characters are atrocious. Shockingly bad. I mean, you just look at it. The general premise of it, that someone would look at this and think, hey, could we make a movie out of this? It's good. It's a good sci-fi premise. The basic storyline involving the species they thought was extinct that resurfaces and where the plotline goes, it's good enough. Not great, but it is definitely good enough. The imagination and the design. On paper, that seems great. And then you get into this movie, and it's got four big problems. Three of them are very similar, and one of them is a little bit different. First, story flow. Second, the characterizations, those awful characters. Third, the two leads are horribly miscast. And four, the dialogue. So the story flow is kind of one end of itself, and these other three kind of intertwine with each other. So let's start off by talking about the story flow. Here's what I mean by this. So the story starts off, and we kind of establish the world, and we see our two leads kind of go off on a little mini adventure that establishes the pieces of the main storyline involving these people we're investigating. Where did they disappear? What happened there? And that's resolved in the third act. But the entire middle act of this is entirely unnecessary. So there's an event that happens, 35 minutes into it where someone gets kidnapped, and that's resolved in the third act. But what happens, everything in the middle is totally unnecessary side adventures just to fluff out and fill out the runtime of the movie. They could have done like a weekend of reshoots on this movie and cut the entire middle out and linked person gets kidnapped to what happens in the third act. You could just take all this out. And it's like a whole side adventure about a wreck and trying to get technology to track someone down. And then a second kidnapping happens. And then there's a species that they have to disguise themselves to work into this thing to rescue the person from the stuff that's happening so we can get back on track. But all of that could just be taken entirely out. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't tie at all into the bigger story, the bigger mythology. It just pads the runtime. And it gives extra time in the movie for some expository stuff to fill out kind of what like the government agency people are doing. But as for the main storyline with our two main characters, all of this stuff is totally unnecessary and does not need to be in the movie. It doesn't fill anything out. Just shockingly bad the way that this was constructed. So that's problem number one, the story flow. Second part is the characterizations of our two lead characters. Their relationship it's bizarre. I like where they're going with it. So they're government agents that are partners, and in the very first scene where we see them together, they're like on a fake beach thing, and he just starts hitting on her, but it doesn't seem like they're dating. It doesn't seem like they actually have a romantic relationship. And he just immediately wants to like go immediately to marriage. Like this is set up opening basis of their relationship. This isn't where the story goes. It's not spoilers. It's just very weird relationship that it doesn't feel right. Like you don't understand why he's so attracted to her or why she's kind of okay with this and flirting back. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if in the comic book it was like this, just as awkward as this, or if it's fleshed out and makes more sense. In this movie, they just start out right out of the gate, full-blown, Valerian is obsessed with this girl and wants her to marry him, and we don't know why, and it's the way it's handled is so awkward and bizarre relationship, which leads into the next problem, is that they're just horribly miscast. I don't have any problems with Dane DeHaan. I think he's a perfectly fine actor. But the way the character is characterized is he's supposed to be this super handsome spy that's sleeping with all these ladies, like intergalactic James Bond or something like that. And you look at Dane DeHaan, and he's a short, skinny guy that looks ill all the time, who is very young looking for his age, so he looks kind of like he's in high school. And he's none of the things that his character's described as. And so he'll be like, oh, I'm just this suave, good-looking guy with all the ladies, and I'm a super spy. And you're just watching it being like, huh? You look like you're 19 years old, except ill. You don't look like you can beat up a bunch of alien species and the toughest guy out there. And you're not this super hot guy that would be sleeping with all the ladies. And even the way the character is portrayed and acted, it's not like he's super suave and confident and hitting on people where you'd understand. It's very odd. And then likewise with the Laureline character, which one is Laureline? Something like that. She looks too young as well. She looks definitely like a teenager. So this whole thing where he's proposing marriage, you're just going, why are these kids getting married? Why are these kids the best spies in the universe? Why were these people cast? They don't like have good chemistry with each other. Why are they written this way to have this type of relationship? The whole thing is so bizarre. And it's only highlighted by how insanely bad the dialogue is. So this opening scene where they meet each other, no, don't meet each other, that's the wrong phrase, where we meet them, and it's first see their interaction, it's literally like she's saying to him, you are so self-centered, you just have this playlist of girls you have slept with, you can't commit. I have committed to the government the last 7 years. I can commit, and I want to commit to the right person. I mean, just like reading the summary of their character or something like that. And even to like, I went to this Ivy League school and I have learned smart things. And I have learned that, and just so forced and clunky, as if an alien was the one that was trying to write human dialogue and human emotions and human relationships. And it just feels as clunky and awkward as can be. And so that, it just makes the movie for me just felt very distant because I wasn't connected to these lead characters because they just felt so weird for this movie and so miscast with such bizarre, awkward dialogue that I just couldn't get invested with what was going on with them at all. And it's not like pointing fingers. I don't have any problems with Cara Delevingne or Dane DeHaan or anything like that, but so weird. And the whole movie just kind of has overcooked performances. Ethan Hawke shows up like 60% of the way through the movie on one of these side quest things in such an overcooked performance that's just hammy and over the top, and other people kind of show up along the way and it's just so in your face with these performances that it kind of made me like, whoa, a bit much there. And it kind of fits in the movie and kind of doesn't. So there's like unevenness in tone and aspects of it. And even when the action is happening, it feels like you're watching someone play a video game at times. So some of it's cool. Some of the imagination and creativity and the stuff is cool. And some of it just feel like there was one sequence I was watching it and I realized, oh crap, I've been daydreaming in the middle of this chase sequence for like a minute. I've been thinking about all this stuff and what I need to do. And I very rarely do that when I'm at a movie. That rarely happens. And I found myself daydreaming. I can understand why my friend fell asleep. There is some cool visuals. There's some stuff that's really enjoyable, but the script and the casting, I mean, they just ruined all of the potential of this movie. It's not atrocious, but the script is atrocious. So I don't know where to put this one. I definitely don't recommend you go see it, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. There is a lot of gorgeous stuff in here. There's some cool ideas, but it's not really a movie you need to rush out to go see. And if I'm being honest, I was just really disappointed that we get a sci-fi movie like this, and it's just, the script was shockingly bad. The characters were shockingly bad, and the casting so strange, so weird that they would cast these people in these roles to be, I don't get it at all what they were thinking. So that's my take on it. How about you? If you've seen it, tell me your thoughts on it. Maybe you convince me, or based off most of the reviews and what I'm hearing from people, most people tend to be on the same page as me, but I had a couple people out there I've seen actually kind of liked it a little bit. I struggle to even give it a 5, but I mean, the visuals really are pretty great and the creativity is pretty nice. And finally, if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, like the one you're watching right now. I also do ranking videos. I got a new one dropping tomorrow where I rank all of the Jason Bourne movies, and I don't want to just talk about movies and give my thoughts. I want to talk with you about movies, so join me in the comments section, and as always, thank you so much for watching.